The name Minus the Bear comes from an in-joke among the members of the band referring to the 1970s television series BJ and the Bear. A friend of the band had gone on a date, explained singer-guitarist Jake Snyder, and one of us asked him afterwards how the date went. Our friend said, hey, you know that TV show from the 70s, BJ and the Bear? Yeah, well, it was a lot like that, minus the bear.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name is Andy.
Mm-hmm.
If all my friends should want you to, I'll understand it. Be all right. I hope I get to you before they do, the way I planned it. Be outside. So twiddly-dee, twiddly-dum. Look out, baby, because here I come. More on that later. But first, Andy, what have we got in store today?
I'd like you to check out a band called Minus the Bear. Any lights flickering when you hear that name?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, their track, they've got plenty of them. The one that I'd like you to listen to today is called Nights. So, and that's with a K. So, yeah. Nights by Minus the Bear. It sounds like you don't really have any experience listening to them, so that's always fun. This is also, I should say, a live, not in concert, but a live performance of them playing the song. So please go over, give it a watch, give it a listen, and give it a thought, and come back and let me know what that is.
Okay. Okay, nice start after the false starts. That sort of keyboard sounded like a cross between a sort of toy piano and like the error sound you used to get on, was it Windows 95? Dang. Yeah, interesting sound. Drummer coming in, your man there. Really nice. It's almost like a drummer bass beat. Really nice. Very interesting. Although we've got two guys standing there with guitars, there's no guitar sound, but it looks like your man on the right has taken the opportunity to visualize an upcoming sack race. He's definitely visualizing his progression down the course. This is really funny. Yeah, it sounds good for a start. Lisa's got a decent voice, it seems. Not particularly picking up loads of words or something about IOU. Just go back a wee bit. I owe you, don't know. Little light today, but tomorrow, oh tomorrow, I owe you, don't know. I know it.
Can we call it good? A little more to make this even. Usually so typical, so beautiful piece of me, hard-coded, piece of beautiful piece of me.
There we go, halfway through. That's a nice still, isn't it? Yeah, some interesting stuff going on there. I keep hearing like it sounds like almost like a wah behind it. I think it's coming out of the singer's guitar. He did some really nice stuff briefly with his really sort of clear notes that sounded interesting. The drummer's doing loads of interesting work, and I think when they come back into that main riff, that's what sounds the best part of this song, particularly with the drummer intertwining with the guitar riffs. Um, let's just go back a wee bit.
Beautiful piece of me, hard-coded, piece of beautiful piece of me.
This is good.
Usually so typical, piece of beautiful piece of me. It's hard-coded. Is it really a sin if we both come out even?
All of a sudden, yeah, that fucking drummer that style of show there, definitely. It was interesting guitars. I'm not sure. It was like different phrases, and how they join together as a complete song. Towards the end, I was thinking this is starting to get really sort of bitty as it goes from one phrase to another, as it were. Um, it's just starting to think that, and then it finished. But that fucking drummer was excellent. Really, really nice tone to his stuff. Got to find out some more. Let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, so you have survived the listen and the watch of this live performance. What did you make of Nights by Minus the Bear?
Disappointed there wasn't any white satin in sight anywhere. But so I am sure sign that the art college student is in residence with these jump cuts of a close of a cracked pane of a window to begin this. Yeah, very fucking arty. And I saw from the blur below it that this is a performance from a house that is about to be destroyed. That kind of sums up the entire indie music scene in the north of the UK from 1976 to 1986. Joy Division and Echo and the Bunnymen being the two main offenders. But anyway, so after a strumming false starts, and we can see the sort of the crowd gathered around. We start off with this sort of clanging keyboard to get us going. That almost have that almost toy piano sound that also faintly reminds me of like the error sound from Windows 95. Dang. It was sort of like that. And there's a buzzing sort of bass sound. It's weird sound, the bass. I think that first thing I'm not sure if that was keyboardy rather than the actual bass itself. Anyway, and then the drums join in. The drums have that almost, when it kicks off, almost got that kind of drum and bass sort of beat to it. Really instantly engaging. And rhythmically, it has that same jerky nature as Andy Gill's guitar patterns that we heard recently on Gang of Fours. Natural's not in it. It's that sort of stoppy starty, jerky, really nice, interesting. Yeah, I like that straight away. So the lead singer kicks off the first verse and he has a decent voice. Not especially clear to my ears, but that's no surprise. I'm picking up a few words. It's a song about I owe you and it ain't the money. I think I said in the reaction, despite there being two guitars there, they are rested for this part. I think in part just so that your man on the right can concentrate on his visualization for an upcoming sack race. Definite knee action going on there. I'm sorry, but as soon as I had that thought in my head that he's pretending to be in a sack race, I couldn't think of anything else. And he's sort of bouncing away with his legs together. Top tip, remember to get your toes into the corners of the sack and you can really get some speed up. Anyway, so next part, we do get a riff going. And I'm sure I think I can hear sort of like some wah wah underneath it. But he sings something about a piece of you for a piece of me. And then that sort of goes on for 4 lines. And then it goes into a really nice section from Kneebender, these really pristine notes that sort of briefly sparkle. It sounds lovely compared, especially in contrast to the other stuff. Then we go back into that main riff again. And I think that's the strongest part of the song up to that point anyway, is where they're doing that down riff with the drumming. It sounds fantastic. They repeat the piece of you lines again, and then we get a nice bit where they sort of change up, and it's almost like a strong arm version of the main riff where they're all doing it. They cut out some really lovely drumming. He does a couple of fills. They come back in again, and then he does a big old caveman fill that leads into the more instrumental section of the song, which again I think is probably the strongest part of it. I already said that, but this definitely is. So back comes the sort of pristine notes from your man on the right. Staging wise, I don't know what his political leanings are, but it's really interesting the way he's playing it. It's kind of like an amalgamation of a few different types of bands. The notes themselves, they're all kind of walking a tightrope, like they're all threatening to fall out of pitch, but they never quite do. If they do, it's like a quarter pitch or an eighth pitch. It's just tiny, just wobbling on the precipice of like becoming dissonant, but they're not quite. Really interesting. Really liked it. And then halfway through, the lead singer then starts mimicking him as well. So they're both doing it, and of course you can't get perfect timing, so there's this slight ghosting, which gives it a bit of an eerie feel as well. It's really nice. And because it's just doing it, it feels organic as well, rather than manufactured, sort of like double tracking or ghosting. So you just get imperfections, but at different points and it's different amounts. It's really, really slight. It does a great job, don't get me wrong, but it's just a slight imperfections that make it much more interesting, I think. Anyway, the toy piano brings us back to the regular body of the song. Now there's more pieces flying around than a beach volleyball competition at a lepers convention. It's everywhere. I'm getting even more of this wah wah under the main riff. I mean, they're heavy on the old pedal action, especially your sack race guy. He's close up to his foot slapping on the pedal about 8 times during this. So they're changing the sounds of the guitars. And I don't know what else they're doing within it. But it's just a really nice, between the two of them, they do a really good job actually filling it in. I will say they then start to like becomes a bit more choppy, the song, in the last sort of like minute or so. They go from one phrase to another. And I'm almost starting to think, hang on a minute. I'm being fooled into listening to something quite proggy here. And then it stops before I get too uneasy. I will say this, the star of the show easily is a drummer. A really, really interesting drummer. Interesting patterns and the sound that he, and how he drove. Really, really impressed me. I thought he was great. I really like the guitar sounds as well. And I thought they were inventive how they did it. I think it became a little bit patchy, perhaps, the song, but that's perhaps me being a little bit picky. But overall, especially as a live, a performance, it was really decent.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm glad that you liked it. I liked it for a lot of the same reasons you did the first time I heard it, which is holy shit, the drumming, holy shit, the guitar work on this track. This just sounds awesome to my ears. And they've got quite a bit out there, so it was really hard for me to decide which would be the first track I gave you from these guys. But yeah, I went with this one and this really interesting, as you put it, artsy kind of footage of them in this old house performing it was kind of cool and interesting as well from a visual standpoint. So I'm really glad you liked it. I thought you would, and I'm really happy that you did. So let's get into the band. Minus the Bear. They are an American indie rock band formed in Seattle, Washington in 2001, and comprising members of Botch, Kill Sadie, and Sharks Keep Moving. So this is, not quite a super group because no one knows any of those bands, but these are guys that were all in disparate bands and then went on to form their own, and here we are. Their sounds has been described as Pele-esque guitar taps and electronics with sophisticated time signature composition. The drummer, a lot of that really hinges on what that drummer does because he's really something else. Minus the Bear have released 6 albums and 4 EPs. The band's final lineup before disbanding in 2018 consisted of Jake Snyder on vocals and guitar, Dave Knudsen on guitar, Corey Murchie on bass guitar, and Alex Rose on synthesizers and vocals. The name Minus the Bear comes from an in-joke among the members of the band referring to the 1970s television series BJ and the Bear. A friend of the band had gone on a date, explained singer-guitarist Jake Snyder, and one of us asked him afterwards how the date went. Our friend said, hey, you know that TV show from the 70s, BJ and the Bear? Yeah, well, it was a lot like that, minus the bear. So there you have it. Suicide Squeeze Records released their debut full-length album, Highly Refined Pirates, on November 19th, 2002. On August 23rd of 2005, the band released their second album, Menos el Oso, which is just a Spanish version of their name. Interpretations del Oso, an album remix comprised of remix songs from Menos el Oso, was released on February 20th, 2007. The band's third full-length album, Planet of Ice, was released on August 21st, 2007, also by Suicide Squeeze Records, and contains 10 tracks. On February 17th of 2010, Danger Bird Records announced that it had signed Minus the Bear and that it would distribute the group's next album. That album, titled Omni, was released in May of 2010. On June 21st, 2012, Danger Bird Records announced this album, Infinity Overhead, would be released on August 28th, 2012. The band's sixth album, Voids, was released on March 3rd, 2017. And on July 17th of 2018, the band announced that they would be disbanding following a farewell tour that would end on December 14th in their hometown of Seattle, and that they would be releasing a final EP, Fair Enough, in October. After tickets sold out in minutes, the band added dates on December 15th and 16th. Their final live performance was December 16th, 2018, at the Showbox in Seattle. In March 2025, so just a month ago, Minus the Bear announced that they would embark on a reunion tour for October and November of that year, performing Menos el Oso in its entirety every night to commemorate the album's 20th anniversary. The track that we listen to today, Nights, features on the band's aforementioned third album, Planet of Ice. And the lineup for the band at this time consisted of Snyder, Knudsen, Rose, Murchie, and Aaron Tate on drums. Tate would leave the band in 2015 due to personal and creative differences. Planet of Ice was produced and recorded by the band's former keyboard player, Matt Bales. In February and March of 2000, during February and March of 2007, it is the first Minus the Bear album to feature keyboardist Alex Rose. Every time I see it, I say, "Don't say Axl Rose," who replaced Matt Bales after he left the band to concentrate on his career as a producer. It is also the last album on Suicide Squeeze Records until 2017's Voids. So they kind of flip-flopped their labels there for a little bit. The album has earned an aggregate score of 74 out of 100 over at Metacritic. AllMusic scored it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and Pitchfork gave it a 7.2 out of 10. Meanwhile, Relevant, Sputnik, and Kerrang all scored the album 4 out of 5 stars, and the AV Club graded the album an A-. In a piece for Everything is Noise, a good friend of mine, actually, John Westbay, would write, "The band got really into 70s progressive music right before recording Planet of Ice," which I think you started to catch shades of in your listen to this track. Also, this was the first album with Alex Rose on keys. Rose really channels his inner 70s prog on this record with the organ and mellotron selections. Planet of Ice has so many incredible moments, memorable choruses, incredible guitar riffs and solos, and a smorgasbord of sounds. In their review, Alternative Press scored the album 4.5 out of 5 stars. Not to discourage any up-and-coming indie rock bands or anything, but there's really no point in trying anymore. Minus the Bear pretty much have the market cornered on being endlessly progressive, ridiculously inventive, and most important, consistently catchy. But unlike 2005's left-brained Menos el Oso, which was very crisp, calculated, and linear, the right-brained Planet of Ice finds the Seattle band more comfortable in their own skin, exploring looser, more organic arrangements, and indulging next-gen guitar god Dave Knudsen's psychedelic side. The tightly wound dance numbers are dancier. The slow sex jams are sexier. Corey Murchie's bass and Aaron Tate's drums are as in sync as ever. And new keyboardist Alex Rose gives the synths a much more strong role than before, both with brilliant counter melodies and sublime textures. So, let's jump into these lyrics. I owe you, don't I? A little light today, but tomorrow, oh tomorrow, I owe you, don't I? I know it ain't the money, girl, there never was money. The usury so typical, a piece of you for a piece of me. It's hard coded, a piece of you for a piece of me. And it's all right. Let's call it good. A little more. Let's make this even. The usury so typical, a piece of you for a piece of me. It's hard coded, a piece of you for a piece of me. The usury is so typical, a piece of you for a piece of me. It's hard coded. Is it really a sin if we both come out even? We come out even. So, it's written in a pretty open-ended kind of way, but from what I understand, the song is kind of about this, the act of infidelity from her side, and now how he feels that he owes her for this by committing adultery himself. And there's this interesting back and forth there where I think the name Knights comes from this code of like, I owe you what you have given me, sort of like rule of thumb. And so because wrong was done to him in the vein of this, outside of the relationship extracurriculars, that he is now obligated to make things even on the ledger, which is interesting. It doesn't necessarily have to be about that. I think it's written in such a way that you can connect to it on different levels, but I think from what I've garnered, that is the narrator's perspective in the track. So yeah, really interesting stuff. There's tons by these guys that are worth checking out, and I'll probably bring some more by them in the future. There's some really great tracks on Menos also, which is no surprise that this tour that they're going on to celebrate the 20th anniversary of it is selling out pretty quickly, and the secondary tickets for the shows are pretty high. So, but I think I'd like to try to get down to DC and catch one of the 2 dates they're doing down there because it was a really great album. So I might bring something off that album in the near future. But thanks for giving this a listen, John. I really appreciate your perspective. I'm glad you latched onto that. I knew you would love the drummer, man. The way he was just going at it in that track, I was like, yeah, John's probably gonna really dig the drums on this one. So much appreciated, my friend. Guys out there in the listening audience, please let us know what you think of this track, Nights by Minus the Bear. If you're a fan of it, if it reminds you of anything, whatever, please feel free to drop in the comments field below. As I suggested, I might pull from the Minus the Bear Vine in the future. If there's a track that you guys have in mind that we should give a listen to if you happen to be a fan, also drop it down in the comments field below. We'll add it to our Friday episode lists. Also, please like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. We really, really do appreciate it. It helps us here at the channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.